Welcome to Surviving Wokeland with Ethan Quinn, a channel dedicated to exposing and explaining the ideology driving wokeness. Woke culture uses social pressure to force compliance to its ideology, branding anyone who disagrees as a bigot. In On Liberty, John Stuart Mill called this type of behavior the tyranny of the prevailing opinion. He explained that there is no point in being granted legal freedom to form your own opinions if society acts tyrannically and punishes anyone who does not submit. He wrote, "Protection, therefore, against the tyranny of the magistrate is not enough. There needs protection also against the tyranny of the prevailing opinion and feeling, against the tendency of society to impose, by other means than civil penalties, its own ideas and practices, as rules of conduct, on those who dissent from them, to fetter the development, and, if possible, prevent the formation of any individuality not in harmony with its ways, and compel all characters to fashion themselves upon the model of its own." What Mill described in 1859 is precisely how woke ideology works. It uses social penalties, like canceling and name-calling, to prevent people from forming their own opinions, and compel society to adopt woke ideas, even when they make no logical sense.
I shall explain what favorite pronouns are. So favorite pronouns are a very common noun self set of neopronouns. Neopronouns are pronouns that aren't he, him, his, she, her, hers, or they, them, theirs. Any neopronoun hate, please leave at the door. I don't want to hear it. Here's a handy dandy conjugation guide from a neopronouns conjugation guide at Tumblr. And so it's like, Faye is my friend. I saw Fair yesterday. This was fair request. That book is Fair's. Faye loves fair self. Hopefully that makes sense. I just wanted to give like a little guide and show you how to use them. Again, any hate, please leave at the door.
Using so-called preferred pronouns is the latest way woke culture attempts to force society into submission, using the tyranny of the prevailing opinion. The prevailing woke opinion is that not asking, using, and submitting to the pronoun madness is bigotry.
Come on, I'm not asking for much here. I'm literally just asking for people to use my pronouns, that's all. Come on, do better, be respectful. It's not hard to be respectful of people's pronouns. Can we try harder, please?
However, the woke obsession with pronouns exposes the ideological narcissism and fragility of wokeness.
Woke up this morning at 3 a.m. in an absolute panic attack because of a job where I'm misgendered daily.
I just went to pick up my tips from my old job that I just stopped working at, and this person who I almost never worked with before misgendered me. And
something is wrong if your identity is so fragile that a stranger not using your self-assigned pronouns can shatter it. If self-assigned gender identity is innate, as wokeness claims, then it should not need external validation.
And then she proceeded to call me ma'am at just about the end of every single sentence that she said to me. So we finally get to the part where it's my turn to talk, and I tell her, hey, I just need to start out by saying you've been calling me ma'am since we got on the phone, and I'm not a ma'am. And you've been misgendering me this whole time. That's making this much more stressful. Please stop calling me ma'am.
So suppose you need strangers to defy their opinions and go out of their way to validate your identity. In that case, the problem is not with them, but with the fragility of your identity. It is also completely narcissistic to believe that you have the right to force society to submit to the tyranny of your opinion. According to Psychology Today, narcissism is characterized by a grandiose sense of self-importance, a lack of empathy for others, a need for excessive admiration, and the belief that one is unique and deserving of special treatment. Britannica explains that persons who display either narcissistic personality disorder or the narcissistic personality type are preoccupied with maintaining excessively positive self-concepts. They become overly concerned with obtaining positive, aggrandizing feedback from others, and react with extreme positive or negative emotions when they succeed or fail to receive confirmation that others hold them in high regard. Narcissists want positive feedback about themselves, and they actively manipulate others to solicit or coerce admiration from them. Accordingly, narcissism is thought to reflect a form of chronic interpersonal self-esteem regulation. The Mayo Clinic says that Narcissistic personality disorder is a mental health condition in which people have an unreasonably high sense of their own importance. They need and seek too much attention and want people to admire them. People with this disorder may lack the ability to understand or care about the feelings of others. But behind this mask of extreme confidence, they are not sure of their self-worth and are easily upset by the slightest criticism. Suppose you can divorce yourself from the propaganda of wokeness. In that case, it becomes patently obvious that wokeness is a narcissistic ideology. Wokeness is centered around narcissism. It teaches that you are important because you are a victim, and as a victim, you now deserve special treatment. You don't need to respect the views of others because they are wrong and bigoted for not submitting to your will. All woke ideas are narcissistic, and the pronoun issue perfectly demonstrates this.
I shouldn't have to explicitly tell every single person what my pronouns are, especially when there are other trans people who use the same pronouns in this workplace.
By believing you have the right to demand people use your self-assigned pronouns, you demonstrate all the characteristics of narcissism. It demonstrates a grandiose sense of self-importance. You believe you are so important that society must rewrite the English language and hundreds of thousands of years of human understanding of gender just to suit your fragile image.
And when sometimes if a student messes up my pronouns and says she, her, or calls me Miss Roby, what do I say?
You say she or they.
Right, and then I also will remind you to call me what?
Teacher Roby.
It's just me. Maybe I'm more annoyed about this than I should be, but it feels like extra disrespectful to misgender somebody when they have a pronoun pin on. Like, you know, I know I'm femme presenting. I know I look like a girl, but it's right here. I have a they, them, their pronoun pin right here.
You also believe that other people must submit to your will. You're so important that people must ignore what they can clearly see with their own eyes, reject reality, and instead search for your pronoun pin before addressing you.
Well, it feels really shitty to have something so clearly dictate what my pronouns are and people still misgender me.
But why should the physical presence of a pin be accepted as truth, if your physical characteristics must be ignored? The pronoun police also clearly lack empathy for others. They don't care what other people think or feel. They are only concerned with their own validation, which must come at the expense of others submitting to their will. The pronoun police are also obsessed with people validating their pronouns, and by extension their identity, and use manipulation, in the form of claiming to be offended, and branding others as hateful bigots, if they don't offer the desired validation.
I have this one coworker who simply refuses to use the correct pronouns for me. I've called her out every time she misgenders me, and she just is resigned to not change. Like, I'm sick and tired of this shit. Like, you need to at least make an attempt. And she popped off, got upset, got defensive. What are you gonna do about it? And I just said I'm gonna be really hurt and sad. Like,
finally, the pronoun police react with extreme positive or negative emotions when they succeed or fail to receive confirmation.
But I wanted to tell you about two of my students that just made my heart sing and made me feel so validated. One of them, she put in the chat, I'm so proud of you. And then one of my other students, maybe like half an hour after we had talked about that, had a question and put in the chat, Mix, da-da-da-da-da, here's my question. And it was just so validating to see Mix pop up on the screen instead of Miss, and it made my day.
You know what I don't get is why people still see me as a woman. What more could I be doing? I literally cut my titties off.
It's time to stop allowing the tyranny of woke opinions to shape society. It's time to say, enough is enough. Society does not need to validate and coddle the fragile, narcissistic mindset of woke indoctrination. So, no. And I won't put pronouns in my bio or by email signature. If that offends you, perhaps your identity is founded on a fragile ideology. That is all I have for today. Please like and subscribe. And please support this channel by downloading my book, The Ministry of Truth: How Propaganda Fuels the Culture War. And join me again tomorrow as we learn how to survive woke land together. Until then, this is Ethan Quinn saying, stay free.